My video for October the 24th, 2018, video number 2885, is entitled Re-Examining My Lifelong Dream. As I've said over and over again in my daily videos that began in January 2011, I've felt that I was on a mission since I was a little boy. I have lived with the hope that I would be able to play a role in bringing heaven to earth. Yesterday, I received a friend request from a lady in Indonesia. That led me to go back and look for the video I had recorded with Mr. Sino, also known as Mr. Sughi. I could not find that one, even though I did find videos where I talked about him. He was the leader of SwissIndo, a group I was involved with several years ago. I was the lone American on the Australian delegation to SwissIndo. Following that, I was involved with the ambassador of the Chinese dragon family. Before either of those, I was Secretary of State in the Florida Republic, part of a national movement to restore the non-corporate status for the United States in America. After my health challenges and the theft of my non-mortgaged home by PNC Bank and the crooked courts, I gave up fighting the system. I simply did not have the strength nor the will to keep fighting those bastards who run the court system. Of course, I realize now that I cannot bring about fulfillment of my dream without being empowered both internally and externally by the one I've called God throughout my life. Is my dream unfulfillable? Have I lived my life in vain? As I said in the blurb, the friend request from a lady in Indonesia triggered my memory back to those days when I was part of SwissIndo and the Australian delegation, working with Peter Van Runt and others to help bring about the changes that I had long been seeking. As I also said in the blurb, I was the Secretary of State for the Florida Republic, and there's still a movement in that direction. Anna von Reitz is one of the people that's playing a key role in that, but there are many across the United States that want to get the Republic restored. The Republic is not a corporate government. Everything in the United States since Abraham Lincoln has been false. It has been a fake United States that we are dealing with. It wasn't incorporated under Lincoln, but he was the first president that was not qualified by law to be president of the United States because he was a bar attorney. The very first bar, there were lawyers before that, but not bar attorneys. So I hope that clarifies that for some of you. Now, I do know bar attorneys, by the way, that have been trained in what they've been trained in and are actually good people that want to do right by humanity. They just don't understand that what they've been taught is based on a lie. Much of what I was taught about the kingdom of heaven on earth and stuff was based on a lie. And yes, I guess I need to interject again, although I just made a video not long ago about the ambassador coming back on after a couple of years of absence with I don't even remember the name of the program now. But anyway, he was back on there, and I just made a video about that not very long ago. But all of these things failed to materialize insofar as bringing about the desired result. The desired result is peace on earth, not just for Americans, not just for Europeans, not just for Caucasians, but for everybody, regardless of what part of the world we live in, regardless of our race, regardless of what languages we speak, that we would just simply learn to come together and cooperate with each other. And that's what I thought SwissIndo was about. And Mr. Sughi, Mr. Sino, he was a good man, as far as I could tell at the time. But many of us that were involved became very disillusioned when certain things came out. Were they truth? What is truth? The things that I'd like to see happen, I'd like that to be the truth. But truth is actually what unfolds. That's called experience. And it's undeniable. It is the truth. I had my home stolen. That's undeniable. PNC Bank bought the courts, and the courts sold my home for a fraction of what I paid for it. And I had an agreement that if I allowed them to sell the property that I inherited from Dr. Mary, which I did, they would let me keep my home. That was an affidavit. That was all put in writing. Did they honor it? Of course not. We're dealing with liars. And the whole world is dealing with a liar. Whether you want to call that Lucifer, Satan, the devil, whatever you want to call it, the whole thing is dealing with lies and liars. And liars and lawyers have become almost synonymous, although, as I said in the blurb also, people were lawyers before Abraham Lincoln. I didn't say that in the blurb, I said it in commentary. Abraham Lincoln was the first non-qualified president of the United States because he was a bar attorney. He had an allegiance to a foreign government, Britain. And Britain was the enemy, not the ally, but the enemy from which we supposedly gained our independence in the late 18th century. All of this has been going on and on and on, and there are people like me that are dreamers. We want to see real change so bad that we latch on to groups and movements and whatever that have a promise of bringing about positive change for humanity. But that cannot happen. It cannot happen as long as there is control by these dark forces, the Illuminati, the Cabal. There's many names for that too. And the names are irrelevant. The relevancy is that the world is not a place of truth. It is not a place of freedom. It is not a place of love. It is a place of enslavement. And we have all, you and I, every one of us, whether we know it or not, whether we want to believe it or not, we are all enslaved. And it's going to take an act of God to get us out of enslavement. Now that has to take place inside and outside. Inside is not enough. You know, you can feel free on the inside, as I thought I was for a long time. But I realize I'm not free. I'm not free to make my own choices of how I'm going to conduct and live my life on this planet. I'm not free to do that. I am forced to do certain things that I'm really not willing to do, but I have to do them if I want to have any semblance of a peaceful life. So we're challenged. And are our dreams pipe dreams that can never be fulfilled? Is human life meaningless? I'd like to believe it's not. But I have to admit the possibility that maybe it is. Maybe there is no actual God that's going to take responsibility for the mess that has been unfolding on planet Earth for humanity. Thank you, folks, for listening, and namaste.